Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of Thursday, May 8th. In accordance with the Acts of 2025, we are having a virtual meeting and a in-person meeting. Anybody here understand we are being taped and recorded? I have no other comments other than that for tonight, so I'm going to go to item number 2, case file number SP22006, Stoughton Logistics Park, modification request.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Might need a new microphone. Mr. Chairman, Hillary Holmes with Langdon is on, and she can go ahead and unmute herself and explain everything. Hillary, we can't hear you.
There's an issue now with...
No, that's all supposed to be that way.
It is?
Yeah. No, we still can't hear you. Let's see if we're having issues. Karen, can you speak to us? Unmute. You're not unmuted, Karen.
Oh, there she goes.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, we have some technical difficulties with the audio with SMAC. Let me ask if we can wait.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, can you try to talk again?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Okay.
Yay! Great job.
Yeah. That's only a 15-minute delay. It took town meeting 45 minutes with the clicker.
My face is in two different places,
Yeah, I know.
so I'm not Chris.
Correct. That's actually SMAC. I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
all right. It's twins. Twins.
Mr. Chairman, we're ready to start again. So do you want me to have Hillary start on hers?
Yes, please. Sorry. Yes, Hillary, go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, my name's Hillary Holmes. I'm with Langen, a civil engineer for the Stoughton Logistics Park project, representing Brookfield Properties. I'm going to share my screen and just walk through some of the changes that we've recently are proposing to our plans and why. Okay, so there are modifications that we're requesting to make to the approved site plans due to some comments that we received from Eversource for work within their easement that they have, the 150-foot wide overhead transmission line easement that is right in this area that I'm highlighting. We have this little piece of the property that juts over that, underneath that easement. So the changes that we're proposing are necessary in order for Brookfield Properties to obtain a license from Eversource for the work within their easement. We provide a memo to the town outlining the changes, and we've also provided plans. So I can just walk through the changes to some of our overall plans. The main change really is to the parking and stormwater. In this area, we had a long sort of parking lot, surface parking lot that extended, from this point up to this point. That has since been removed from our site plan, and now what we're proposing is a much smaller parking lot that would stay outside of the Eversource easement, and then we're proposing a surface stormwater basin on the north side, on the other side of the Eversource easement. You may recall we had underneath the proposed longer linear parking lot, we also had a subsurface infiltration system, which we've now removed. So with the loss of parking, so we reduced the parking from 55 spaces were removed to 25, we're now showing some additional parking to make up for that loss in other locations. So you can see sort of where we've clouded some additional parking to this northwest lot here. I believe we are expanding it by 10. We also had 8 spaces in here. There's some angled parking to the east of building 1. We also had at the end of the parking lot to the west of building 3, we were adding 5 spaces here and 2 spaces here. And then we also expanded the parking in the far sort of southeast lot by 5. And then I'll go to just the stormwater plan, just to highlight that a little bit better. So I guess with those changes, we did have to make changes to the grading as well as the retaining wall that we had along. We always had a retaining wall along this line, but it was extending into the easement area. Now it's wrapping around the back of this parking lot instead. So it no longer, continues towards Maple Street. We also had to revise the grading a little bit for each of those parking lot areas just to expand it out. This one, the grades tightened a little bit for the expansion of this lot, but we're, maintaining within our limit of disturbance as well as within the property lines in this area. Let me see. And then you can see the grading for that surface basin as well. Here it's in a darker gray hatch, so you can see it a little bit better. So with that stormwater change, what we're proposing now are the only things that are going through that easement are now a water line. That we are always showing a water line connection to Maple Street, so that will remain. The line had just had to shift a little bit to accommodate the basin, as well as, we have the stormwater pipe, so now we're conveying stormwater runoff from the road and from the parking. It goes underground towards the basin, perpendicular to the easement. And then we also have a sanitary line that we always had going out to Maple, but we just had to shift it a little bit based on the revisions for the basin. And there were some minor changes to drainage related to the expansion of the parking here. There were some very minor changes associated with these 2 parking lots too. We had to make some shifts to some of the utilities. I believe it was mainly like a couple hydrant locations, just had to shift a little bit. Similarly, our lighting had to change to adjust for the expansion of some of the parking as well as the removal of the parking in that northern area. Planting, we kept all of the same number of plants and the same species of plants. We just had to shift them around a little bit based on the new plan layout. So probably the one important thing to note is that this easement area, Eversource doesn't want any planting material in there. So right now we're just proposing a seed mix. And then, so a lot of the trees that we had shown in this area, we've shifted to some of these other locations that we have sort of clouded here. And then with some of the parking lot changes, we had to shift some of the plantings, in these areas too, to accommodate the change in the parking lot. So that's sort of a summary of all of the changes. If the board has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I have a couple.
It's pretty straightforward.
All right, now, the changing, with these changes here, did you change the width of the parking spaces to increase the, for these additional parking, not additional, but the moving of these parking spots?
In terms of do you mean, so we kept the parking space sizes the same per the town's requirements. So the actual parking sizes meet the town's requirements. But with like where we had to add spaces, some of these areas were proposed to be vegetated and we had to expand the pavement in those areas to accommodate the parking spaces. I will say that with the loss of this longer linear parking, we did end up with a total decrease in impervious area for the site. I think we ended up decreasing it around 1,200 square feet with these changes.
All right. Also, I believe in the original plans, you have the capability of adding additional parking at some time? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. Where is that area?
Yeah, so we did not, those areas remain untouched. We didn't add any of these parking spaces to those areas. So those banked parking spaces would still be available for parking. We didn't expand or use any of those areas. I can pull up that bank parking plan.
If you just want to show with the cursor where it is, I think that's,
Yeah, it's there. We definitely had banked parking like in this area and this area. We also we were changing this. So we definitely had some in this area and this area. We were revising the trailer parking in this area to.
Excuse me, Hillary, I'm not sure. Can you use a different pointer? That cursor really isn't showing up on our screen.
Oh, can you see the red circled areas on your screen?
No, not really.
Oh, that's weird.
If you close, Bill, can
I
you,
saw the yellow highlights that she had seen
Bill, can you-
before.
Yeah, maybe I'll try those. So can you see the yellow?
We saw the yellow, yes, we can see that now.
Okay. So this trailer parking lot was an area that we were proposing to then convert to traditional parking spaces if needed for banked parking. We also had some parking proposed in this area and this area. If you can see that highlight.
Basically to the left and right of the entrance off of Turnpike Street, right.
Yeah, and then we were expanding, we were modifying this area and here as well.
Right, that down that lower parking, okay.
Yeah, in this area.
So going back to the area that the spots are being removed, you're going with the surface detention area infiltration system?
Yes.
Is that's staying the same?
That wasn't there.
So
That wasn't previously
Okay.
there, that was a parking lot.
Right, so that leads to my question, is this possibly creating any type of flooding onto Maple Street during high rains or anything like that?
There's an outlet that goes into a drain that's on Maple Street, that's what I was just going over, Craig.
Yeah, I can answer that one, Hillary.
yep.
So previously, there was a subsurface detention basin under that parking lot. They've revised that design, so now it's the surface basin. It's providing the same flood storage and capacity that the previous system provided, so there's no additional impacts out to Old Maple Street. That used to, we had a connection out there anyway, so it did overflow into that direction previously. We have retained environmental partners throughout the construction. They've been doing some on-site testing for the previously approved stormwater systems during construction. And we've also retained them for peer review for any modifications. So they've reviewed this, and we've had a couple of meetings on it, and we've approved that design, that it meets the same intent as the previously approved one.
Again, my concern in that area with Old Maple Street, right now floods out very easily, so, that would be my concern.
This is designed not to increase either the rate of flow or the volume of stormwater to that area.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I got.
Paul?
I got a couple of questions. Will you restore, giving the right-of-way, how is the rest of the right-of-way maintained? How are they maintaining it? Are they letting shrubs come in and trees, or are they is the electric company keeping that nice and clean the way you're going to be seeding it, or?
That's not on their property, Paul.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, like.
What's it look like now?
Yeah, what's it look like now?
Like a desert.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, it's just sort of a gravel paved
Oh, it is.
lot.
Okay.
It looks like a quarry.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have this one little strip of grass going across there. All right, in the retention area, the basin,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the zoning laws are, but I know sometimes they make them fence them in and stuff like, is that going to?
There is a fence around that
It
area.
will be fenced, yeah.
It's
There's gonna be
presently
a fence
fenced in
around?
that area.
Okay. And you're just going to maintain that as a grassed area?
Correct.
Because I've seen some of them grow up, they've got, at some point, they're just growing trees and everything. You can't even tell there's a retention. Is that something that
Should
we
be part of
accept?
that should be part of their O&M manual.
Yeah, they've updated the O&M plan to include the surface basin maintenance.
Yeah, I just didn't know how it was maintained and everything. And is there any effect on the snow where you're going to store the snow storage?
No, not really. That portion of Maple Street kind of has a wide shoulder right in that section,
Okay,
so I
all
don't
right.
think it'll impact it with street plowing.
All right, that's it.
Paul?
I'm good.
Hilly, out on, at the back part of the detention basin, right along Maple Street, you're showing some dark areas of drawings I'm looking at. Is that going to be some sort of bushes or trees along there? Or what's happening right in that area?
Yeah, there are some smaller perennials, perennial shrubs along that area.
Okay, but there's got to be no trees or large arborvitaes or anything like that?
No, there aren't any large trees in that area, no.
All right, we're looking for a minor modification on this, is where we're at. Anybody have a motion towards that effect?
Motion to approve the minor modification.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Hillary. Please continue to keep us updated. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you all.
Yep. Item number 3, case file SP 25004, located at 501 Technology Center Drive, assessors map lot 96, lot 52 in the Highway Business Zoning District. CJ Shaughnessy Crane Service requests a site plan review under section 10.6 to reuse the former Kohl's department store and turn it into a commercial warehouse with outside storage, construction vehicles, equipment, and pelletized equipment. Public hearing was closed on April 24th. The planning board will deliberate. Conditions of approval, votes may be taken. We received a letter from the Olive Garden, which I'll read into the record because it just got in today, and then we can discuss it from there. Objection to application for case file number SP 25-004. Dear board members, Olive Garden was founded in 1982 and operates over 1,800 locations across the United States. We have strong ties to the Stoughton community servicing customers since 2005 and contributing to the local employer sector. CJ Shaughnessy Crane Service, Inc., Shaughnessy. Proposed fence wall changes are in violation of a protected parking area and would significantly impact our ability to have sufficient parking for our employees and service of our customers. Our restaurant could be impacted by loss of future businesses due to the lack of parking. It is crucial to maintain our existing parking to meet the expectations of the customers that Olive Garden services in Stoughton. Olive Garden previously sent a letter dated March 12, 2025, as the proposed use violates a recorded agreement that restricts development of the property. We have attempted to work with Shaughnessy to preserve adequate parking and to make sure that development does not negatively impact Olive Garden. We ask the board's decision to continue to allow the parties more time to reach a mutually beneficial resolution. Okay. And then we now have a decision that's been written about this case that was written by Bill based upon our previous discussions from our last meeting. The objection of Olive Garden, I understand it, but it is a lease agreement between Shaughnessy and Olive Garden, or between Olive Garden and whoever is maintaining that area at this point in time. Bill has done a good job, and Craig has done a good job of maintaining the amounted required parking for the restaurants, the 2 restaurants that are part of this area. So from a zoning standpoint of view, the required amount of parking spaces for each of those restaurants still remains intact. Shaughnessy Crane does own the entire lot that they're going to be encompassing, and they are leaving those spaces uninhabited with where we're at. So the fence line that's been created does leave them with parking that's required by the Stoughton zoning. So from that point of view, I don't think there's anything that this board can go any further than that as far as what we're requiring or not requiring on the property. And it may become a legal matter for Shaughnessy and Olive Garden for the next steps, but I don't know that we can really get involved in that. So if there's any other discussions concerning either that letter or the decision that's been written, that's what we're at this point in time. Anybody have any other questions?
And Mr. Chairman, the revised plans addressed everything. I sent I know that Mr. Murphy asked me about the pylon sign, and there's the note on the demo plan that they're either going to demo it to the ground or they're going to cap it. And I sent you the,
Right, and I did see that.
yeah.
But, so that's the demo plan that you're going to be following, correct?
Correct.
So that'd be the plan we're approving.
Yeah, it's memorialized as part of the plan.
Okay.
And that, so they've addressed everything. That's why you don't have the copies of the plan. I can pull it up, the revised plan, if you want it. But they've addressed all of our comments, or all the comments of the board. I will let you know that I know Will Thorpe on Darden is online. I don't know if you want to let him speak or not, but I do, one of the things.
Why don't we do that?
One of the things we were adamant about is, well, we can't enforce, and he knows this, I've discussed it with him, we can't enforce the private lease. What we looked at was, does the parking that is being provided meet our zoning? That's the 4 corners of what we can do. So I know.
Can you just bring the final plan up that we've got, and then if Mr. Thorpe would like to speak, which I know is out of order because we have the meeting closed, but I will allow his discussion, and then we'll go from there. So, Mr. Thorpe, would you like to talk?
Yes, thank you. No, and I understand this is a private agreement, but we have customers, that we like to service at the Olive Garden, and we want to make sure that they have plenty of parking as well as their team members. And I get it as a private agreement, but the fence will be in direct violation of that protected parking agreement, and will affect our ability to do business. And it's my job as an asset manager for Olive Garden to use any means necessary to try and protect our interests. But I appreciate you letting me speak tonight and get my point across. But I completely understand the planning board's decision. But thank you.
Let me ask you a question, because how many people you have and how many parking spaces you use. Is there enough parking spaces with what's left for you to be able to run your business?
So the real concern is, I know there's the former Smoky Bones that is located next to the Olive Garden is currently vacant. As of right now, yes, there is plenty of parking to run the business. But when that space is leased out to, we don't know who it will be, but if another full service restaurant comes in there, parking will be kind of compressed over to Olive Garden and then over to the Kohl's lot. And that's what we're really, really concerned with. And there won't be enough space for both businesses.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I calculated based on the Smoky Bone seats and the Olive Garden seats, and that's how we had to do it.
And that's my question, I guess, is so.
I calculated it as a restaurant.
Right, I know, and I understood that. So I guess my question to you is our zoning it doesn't have enough parking spaces for what you normally have? And do you normally have more parking spaces than what is allowed on this plan for you?
So normally for an Olive Garden of this size, we like to see 130 parking spaces. That's what we feel is ample to accommodate all of our guests. And, higher volume, I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not aware of the volume of this location, but, on very high volume locations, it's even more than that. Olive Gardens are very busy and they do have a lot of tables and a lot of seats.
So how many parking spaces do we provide for them, Bill?
This plan is 126. It's
126 for Olive Garden or for both buildings?
It's 126 for both, inclusive of all of
Right, and what he's saying, he needs 130 for himself, never mind
But
whatever.
that
the
doesn't
second-
count the spaces that are on the Olive Garden. There's, spaces are on Olive Garden's property and spaces are also on Smoky Bones.
So there's 130 spaces on his property, plus whatever they have on their own property.
Correct.
No, actually, so on our property on this plan, it's 62 spaces. It's 64 on Olive Gardens and I believe 66 on Smoky Bones.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where the crossover issue is, then there's not he's saying he needs 130 spaces. He has 130 if Smoky Bones isn't alive, but if Smoky Bones comes up, now they don't have enough spaces for the two of them. But but the parking space they have does meet our zoning.
It does meet our code requirement. So I will let you know the inquiries into the redevelopment of the Smoky Bones have all been non-restaurant uses.
Yeah,
what?
I don't mean to jump in. We're told that Smoky Bones ownership is currently in talks with a non-restaurant lease.
Yeah, I believe it was Mini Warehouse, a storage facility, which requires almost no parking.
So that would help you out.
Yeah, but that's not
So I guess.
in front of us.
From a planning board standpoint of view, and I got to go back to the original statements, we have provided zoning required parking for your spaces not being taken away. Therefore, I don't see that as being an issue for us going forward on an approval. How you go forward with your own lease discrepancy with Shaughnessy, that's going to have to be between you after this has gone through, I would believe.
Yeah, completely understand.
Thank you. So anybody else on the board have any other questions, any other concerns? Nothing? So can we have a motion to approve the decision, the site plan approval for Shaughnessy Crane, 501 Technology Drive for case number SP 25-004?
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I do need to note that I know that Paul was not here. He has signed a Mullins certification. So for all of the items that were on the agenda last week, that has been filed with the clerk, and I also have a copy in the planning board's file.
Okay,
So just to let him know, so he can vote on everything.
awesome. Thank you very much. You're all set?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So that decision will be, 20 days, and you'll work that out with Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll get recorded tomorrow and 21 days later.
What's the official sign? That was right.
Excuse me?
Bill, you have the official sign off, right?
Right
Yeah,
here.
we'll sign it off after the meeting.
Don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave.
Case number, item number 4, case file SP 25-001 is located at 48 Wyman Street, assesses map 54, lot 401 in the Stoughton Center District, flex zone. William Ferraro, Wyman Street 48 LLC requests a special permit under section 9.3.4, Stoughton Center District Table of Use Regulations, D16 for indoor recreation use. The applicant proposes an indoor recreation use called Key to Amaze. The proposal is to renovate the former Napa Auto Part into an entertainment venue featuring virtual golf, virtual reality gaming, and social activities. The public hearing was closed on April 24, 2025. The planning board will deliberate the conditions of approval. Votes may be taken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, at your direction, wrote a findings and conditions. I had to create a template for it because don't have one in my computer, so I think I did a pretty good job. I did the summary, the procedural history, and then I actually went through the actual findings and determinations that are found in the code, the 6 things, and then I'm recommended the 6 conditions on the special permit. And it will not require site plan review. It may require an administrative site plan review for facade changes in the Stoughton Center District.
Has he applied for his liquor permit license yet?
I don't believe he has. I think he wants to get his special permit. I mean, this is, you know,
Well, for-
it's
for a chicken or the egg.
not, you know, he could run his business with or without the liquor permit. That's a whole separate process. And actually, from the zoning standpoint, that's permitted as of right.
No, I understand that, but you're still got to get a license approved with the
I
town.
believe Bill is online. Bill, are you online on your phone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So I don't think he can even start. Well, I know he hasn't because the licensing clerk sits right out beside me. He has to, you know, get the use permitted. There's, you know, a whole host of things he has to do regarding the building, the floor plans.
What's your time frame right now?
Time frame is, I mean, as soon as it's approved, I'm going to be applying for the building permit. That's why I already have the architectural drawings and everything ready to be submitted. So I'm going to be applying as soon as this is all set. And then from there, the floor plan goes, I believe it has to go to the state, to the ABCC, if I'm not mistaken, they need that for the liquor license.
Okay.
So I'm going to be moving forward pretty quickly.
So when are you looking to open?
Yesterday.
When am I looking to open? This fall.
This fall? Okay.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
This is a zoning question, but is that building, does that have a sprinkler in it?
He's keeping the capacity under 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has to meet all building requirements.
I
So if
just
he
didn't
keeps
know-
the capacity at 100, he doesn't. If he increases it, you know, he has to meet all building code
He
requirements.
did-
But I just didn't know.
But he
if it-
did say he was going to retrofit it for sprinklers to be on the safe side anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was a curiosity question, not a,
Sure.
Do we have any, you know, drawings or anything of what the facade's going to look like?
He hasn't submitted that.
Okay.
He had some some interior plans, but I did discuss with him that, you know, whatever he needs to mark up whatever he needs to do, and that's an admin. I will let you know that the 2 or 3 that I've done so far with some of these old vacant buildings, anything they do is a huge improvement.
Assuredly.
But I'm sure.
So he'll be giving us signage, you know, what type of sign he wants out there?
Yeah, that's just all administrative, does not come back to the board.
Okay.
And it has to meet there's a special sign requirements within the Stoughton Center District that the building commissioner enforces.
Anybody else have any questions? No. Can I have a motion to approve the special permit approval for Keto Amaze, 48 Wyman Street for case number SPP 25-001 with the 6 findings and determinations and the special general conditions that have been approved in here?
So made.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. You all set?
So, Bill, the decision will be recorded at the clerk's tomorrow, and then 21 days later, so just 3 Fridays, in 3 Fridays, it can be picked up unless it's appealed, okay?
Okay. Understood.
And I'll send
Gotcha.
you an email
Okay,
to that
appreciate
effect.
that. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great night.
You're welcome. Item number
Thanks. Take
5
care.
is a continued public hearing for SP 25006 for Suburban Electric Contracting They've requested a continuance to May 22nd, 2025. Do we have an opening for that date, Bill?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept their request for continuance?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6, a continued public hearing will be held at the petition of the applicant and property owner, SN Square Realty, Inc., 810 Washington Street, Stoughton, Mass., for site plan review under section 10.6 to renovate the former Stoughton Trust Company building into a mixed-use, 4-story building consisting of retail and offices in the basement and second floor and 12 residential units, 4 loft units and 8 one-bedroom units in the remainder of the building. In addition, a minor site modifications, including parking proposed on the adjacent lot within the parking easement. The applicant, represented by J.D. Civil, Inc. of Norton, Mass. The property is located at 810 Washington Street, 19 Park Street, Stoughton, Mass. Assessors map 54, lot 371 and 373 in the Stoughton Center District, zoning district, continued from 3/13 and from 4/24/25. Is the representatives here on site?
Yes.
Please state your name and the company for the record, Josh.
Sure. Josh White from JDE Civil.
Pull it closer to you. Physically, there.
Josh White from JDE Civil. I believe we have Kyle on Zoom as well, if needed. So yeah, basically, we submitted some updated plans from the boards and town comments back in April. And I'll just quickly summarize those changes on this plan that you can see in front of you. First is for the dumpster. We have decided to just leave the dumpster as is in its current location on this plan, where it will service both properties. And then we've also got the 5 parking spaces shown, plus the 1 ADA space within an easement on the 19 Park Street property. We've added a ADA ramp down from the no parking space between, next to the accessible space, down to the sidewalk. So the whole entrance to the parking lot is accessible to the building. And on the next page, we added some grading improvements to the site just because the existing parking lot was not ADA compliant, so we adjusted the grades to accommodate that, as well as some comments from the engineering department regarding the water and sewer connections, which will be out to Park Street as opposed to Washington Street from before. That's pretty much a summary of the changes that we made on that plan. We did receive a second review from the town last week. And we had a chance to review it, and we've got our thoughts in our head on how we're going to revise the plan, as well as a couple other things that came to light more recently, as with the decisions based on the client. So basically, the proposed 4th-story addition, that's not going to happen now. It's just going to be a 3-story. So
Well, the height of the building, the 4th story, you're not putting on at this point in time? Did you have a plan here with building heights on it? That's the reason I'm asking the question.
Right, we don't have any revised plans. This just happened this week, I believe.
Yeah, that was just a discussion that just came about, I believe, yesterday. So yeah, I don't want
Well, it's
to,
going to cut down on the amount of units that you end up having in the building also.
yeah, it's going to reduce it down to 9 units. And basically, the addition to add a third story would basically just be the back part of the building, because that's the only part that's 2 stories now. So it'd just be a 1-story addition on the back of the building. So again, it would bring,
The curved roof and that whole thing is not going to happen?
not sure about that. That, still in the works. So again, it's going to reduce the number of units from 12 to 9. As far as parking would go, that would mean we'd need 4.5, which would be 5 spaces, plus the 1 accessible space, so the parking's not going to change. There was some comments regarding the dumpster, making sure it's screened and added onto a pad. And I believe we're going to shift it into the parking lot to make it a little bit closer for the truck, the trash truck that comes. And we'll add details of that as well. Another comment was the plans need to be revised to show the handicap entrances of both buildings, both 810 Washington and 19 Park Street. So I believe this shows on the floor plans for 810, but the entrance closest to the intersection of Washington and Park, that's the accessible entrance existing for this building. And based on the all of the ADA regs that we've reviewed, we've got, we'll update the plan to show the accessible route from the parking lot, but we believe it complies. I know where there's some comments from the Disability Commission regarding compliance.
Yeah, I think if you just clarify where that space is and clarify your path, I think that will be, you'll be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Disability Commission has sent a letter, I've given it to the Building Commission saying that the accessible space has to be on the lot. And that's actually, in talking with the Building Commissioner, he said it does, that 2 lots together under this common ownership, can have 1 accessible space, based on the numbers. He said, and he said, if the size increased or whatnot, that it would.
The other issue would be is if one of the lots got sold out separately from the other one, then they would have to create another handicap space.
Right.
So that's fine. If you just show that on your plan, I think you're going to be okay.
And that's all I wanted. And I knew I believe, I wasn't sure, they just need to identify that the front here is accessible. And I know that the ramp here, because I visited them, just identify this accessible route. One of our questions, and I think it would, this is the old parking lot in here, this area. You can see my cursor. They're not taking that asphalt out. So I'm like, well, their dumpster currently doesn't meet regs because it's on gravel, and the Board of Health requires it to be on
Impervious.
On either asphalt or concrete. So I'm just like, move your dumpster, actually, less that the dumpster hauler has to do, and put a recommended, put a fence around it. I would, probably it's potentially temporary in nature because they want to do a phase 2.
Right.
So I told them that normally we would look at whatever material they're using with the building, which would be like in this case brick, but I'm recommending that you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I told them that I thought that the vinyl enclosure would be fine due to the nature of where it is, and not have to do pay for a big brick wall that then they would tear down as soon as they rebuilt it.
So would they do the brick wall once they add on the other building?
They would, well, it would, whatever the design of the second building is, and that second building could come in a year, 2 years, 5 years, it could come whenever.
May not be here.
Well, none of us will, who knows? But I think, the vinyl around this, especially that since it's not in and around getting hit and that sort of thing, would be fine.
One of the questions that I have that I'm surprised didn't come up, is there any historic value to this building as far as it being
Which one?
The bank building, I mean, it's been there for,
Well, that's why they're preserving it.
what's that?
They're preserving it.
Okay.
We're highly in favor of this project because
not taking it
they're
down.
taking this and reusing an existing building.
Right,
So
I just-
this is, and reusing it. This is what our Stoughton Center District Code wants.
Right, no, I understand that, but I'm just saying is there a historic commission, does it have to go before them for approval, or?
Only if they were taking it
It's
down.
not that old to be historic.
Yeah.
It's not on the register.
It's not on the register.
Not on the register.
So,
you
and
would-
we don't actually have a historic quote-unquote district with identified, like, one that's codified. The only other thing, I think Craig can talk to it, is there's a couple minor things regarding engineering.
Yeah, so they're doing some regrading where they're showing that accessible space. And they're, in order to achieve the grades that they're looking to comply with the ADA requirements, they need to put a little retaining wall along the backside of the sidewalk, which is fine, but we've requested that that extend up a little bit above the proposed grade of the new parking space for some protection so vehicles won't roll right off.
Yeah, we did add 3 bollards kind of in the back of that granite, because we kind of went through that thought process too. So we're not opposed to raising the wall a foot just to add some more support.
There needs to be some sort of protection. I'm not sure that bollards would be a great look there, but
Yeah, I think raising the wall up is a nicer look.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to put a wrought iron fence across it, how high is the wall? Is it a foot, 2 feet?
Yeah, it's not very high.
Okay, so it doesn't need anything major, then, yeah, just leave it the wall height, and it'd be fine.
Yep.
And even in a brick that matches the existing building, a brick face
Brick
on it,
facade, yeah.
even if it's a facade on a concrete.
Yeah, if they do concrete. Right now, they're proposing to do it out of granite, which, now that I've asked them to go a foot above, they might not be able to do granite, and might have to do a poured wall, in which case we'd look at whatever, the facing of that would be. And the only other real item that we had for engineering was in our previous review, we'd asked for that curb cut to be closed. It's really wide, it's like 90 feet. And the applicant had requested in their response letter to leave it open since they intend to do Phase 2. Our preference is to close it now, since none of us know if and when Phase 2 will ever be realized. So that's our opinion, that it should be done now. There was some, in the response was about fire trucks being able to access the site and things like that. I don't think the fire department's going into that site to fight the fire. They're going to stay on the street.
Well, that's why they want a new ladder truck.
Yeah, but it's just as accessible from the roadway as it would be from,
They can drive over the curb if they have to.
yeah,
really
they're not going to drive up and get, in between those buildings. There's no way, so.
Well, it's not closing, it's just reducing it.
Just reducing it, yeah, so going down to 24. And I know we've seen some plans for Phase 2. I know they're probably pretty schematic at this point, but, the location of that closure could line up with whatever's going on with the Phase 2 building.
Yeah,
so.
we did look at, just briefly, just in preparation for tonight, just looking at some configurations as far as where that 24-foot would lay out. But we think it's most likely going to kind of center on that right side along 19 Park, close to that existing utility pole, and go basically.
Right here?
Yeah, just to the left of that. We'll start the 24
Okay,
right about
yeah.
there.
So at the back edge of that parking
edge of the
space,
parking space.
which
Yep,
is where I think
exactly.
you should do it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. You probably get 2 spaces on the street with this work. So.
Yeah, so that helps out with the overall parking
In the
configuration.
downtown.
And if you do that, then. And if you do that, you can look at taking credit for, as a public benefit that you're doing
Adding more
for the
on-street
Phase 2 for if they want to increase the height, because I know we've had discussions about increased height and different things, and the different public benefits. So that, that won't be the sole public benefit, but, if you do that and a couple other things, then, it sets your client up to, if he wants to go to that 5th story, that he could meet that threshold. So,
Public parking spaces in this area are pretty highly regarded, so.
Right.
I have
Go ahead.
another quick question. I'm not sure if this is
Bill has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Peter.
us or the zoning department, but when they do work, like I noticed when they filled the hole in the wall, there was no, call it, staging setup to prevent anything from falling off from work they were doing. So that's probably more of a zoning.
that's building.
Yeah,
That's all building.
the building commissioner would make the calls to when to close the sidewalk, divert pedestrians, or provide the overhead protection.
But I don't believe this, you're not going to see any scaffolding. I know the architect had his hand up, but I don't believe they're changing the exterior now that they're not going to do that, potentially,
Doing
I
the,
think we ought to wait and not speculate on what's going to happen in the exterior at this point in time.
Oh.
That staging issue is a building department issue, really not a planning.
okay,
issue.
that,
So
again,
we're only for the temporary part of it. But I'm assuming at this point in time, you're
well, I
going to...
think Kyle had his hand up.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Just a quick comment, just in regard to the curb for one, raising it up about a foot. Wouldn't that be potentially hazardous for a car hitting it and doing damage? I thought a standard is more like 8 inches for a curb.
Kyle, it's the wall that has to be raised an additional foot next to the handicap space. That's an engineering issue.
So, yeah, Kyle, what we're looking for is just, something to prevent vehicles from going over the edge there.
Correct.
If you want to go 8 inches with the curb, it's actually not right alongside the parking space itself. You have a striped area there, so there's not the concern with people
Right.
swinging open the doors and hitting the bottom of their doors. And I think that's what you're referring to.
I thought it was going to turn an L shape, not just along the sidewalk, but the front end of it too.
But we'll look for the revised plans to show us some protection for vehicles.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get to an updated draft for you guys to look at ahead of time.
And I know I did talk to the engineer, and he asked what it would take to make the 22nd meeting, and I said I need 2 weeks to review it. So, so that would be today, and so that's not really going to happen for the 22nd. So it would have to be the what's the
June?
I'm assuming you're asking for a continuance at this point, correct?
Yes, we'll need to continue to update the plans accordingly.
to the June 12th meeting is the.
Can I have a motion to accept the continuance to June
ask a
12th?
question on this?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Paul.
You need to turn your mic
Put your mic
on.
on, I'm sorry.
Richard Terry, item number 6 on your response sheet regarding landscaping, you're proposing to put in a Amur maple. And both Paul and I think that is not the correct species to use there. It grows up to 20 feet tall and a 20-foot crown, which would pretty much obscure that sidewalk. The other question is, at the intersection of Park and Washington, you have that open area which is currently being, it has, I think,
A dogwood?
yeah, and it's being maintained by one of the beautification committees in town, but that's really your responsibility. I would suggest you look into that as well. And consider it, you had a recommendation.
We would like you to, look at all the existing landscaping around the building, and look at it and say, is the existing really what we want? What could we do to improve it? I mean, it looks nice, but is there something that you could do to make it even look like, wow, this is really nice,
Yep.
Really nice.
I'm going to let you know that this triangle in the front up here,
It's just a column.
Paul and Rich, this triangle in the front that's up here in front of the building, that's actually property that's owned by the town.
Oh, because it's within his, I thought
Here,
it was
let
within
me-
his
here.
boundary.
I retract that then.
Here, let me pull up, let me stop sharing.
On the map, it shows it in their boundary, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that triangular piece is excluded.
I'm going to pull up the GIS system.
Why won't it go?
You're not authorized.
You've been boxed out.
There we go.
There we go. There's more ways to skin this one. So I'm going to identify their property, and it will be highlighted. That is their property right there.
Okay.
Close.
So there's
Then
a
my
teeny
comments
bit of
would-
asphalt. Here, let me,
Can you put that image back up on the board, on the screen?
oh, I need to share it?
Wouldn't hurt. Thank you.
You have a Chrome tab. Go to the left, on the left, share a Chrome tab. Top,
I don't see it.
click that one. Yeah. Click it. Like that. The words, down some.
No, why it won't share.
Make your window the full screen. All right, share.
Oh. So if you can see,
Yeah.
they have a little bit of the concrete, but that out in front, I thought the same thing. Then I started looking at the map.
Okay.
I'm just looking at sheet 2 on the thing there. It kind of showed me that I
could
thought the
still put some
property
flowers
line
there.
was there.
Yeah, Paul, you're correct. It does look like the property line, the way
won't
they did it
object,
is
right?
there.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't, it's kind of odd where they're showing it, but it's not there.
Okay.
Here's stop share, that one. Go back to,
But which suggests that the trees be more columnar instead of
Columnar.
broad.
You can get some columnar varieties that will
Yes,
grow
definitely.
narrow.
Yeah, we'll look at the area too and
Yeah.
Perhaps
sure they match.
more than one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they need to, Josh, if you look on this, the online map shows an arc, and yours shows a straight line. You need to look at let's look at the deed. In fact, if the deed shows this and not the arc, then I need to have the GIS updated, but if
I
the
believe that's the
deed has
case,
the
but we
arc-
can look into that too.
Yeah, so please read the deed.
Yep.
I don't care to trace deeds anymore.
It's not fun.
So can I have a motion to accept this continuance?
Motion made.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, you're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you guys in June.
Thank you all.
Did we do it to a date certain?
We did, it was June 7th,
June 12th.
June 12th. I'm sorry. Okay, going on to general business, we have a set of meeting minutes for April 24th, 2025. Do we need to review and vote on? I had read these earlier. I don't have any issues. I'm not sure if anybody else does at this point in time.
I actually have one comment,
Go ahead.
and I believe it had to do with, what's it, Eagle Rock? In Eagle Rock, I made the request that there be sidewalks in the shared roadway. And that was not stated in the plan because I believe my comment was I was a hard no on this project if it's not there.
I actually thought we had discussed having sidewalks on one side down to a certain distance with a along the main areas.
Right. The shared roadway.
I wasn't present for that meeting.
Yeah, no, but that's, I
I
believe
got
that's
the
what we
recap.
discussed.
It is, on page 6 of 7, the board requested pictures of the proposed building along with materials to be used. Also required a compliant ADA walkway with a compliant walkway. Oh, is this, which one is this?
That's a different setup.
Oh, that's that. Which, let me look for the project.
Oh, it says sidewalk.
Those
on the
23
top of
Martin
Page
Street.
4.
Oh, yes, it was. It's a few of the concerns by the board on page 4 of 7. School bus routes, snow removal, septic systems, issues with no power, vertical granite curbing at the entrance, sidewalks, and lighting. Right at the top of the page.
Oh, okay, all right.
It kind of answered all of those.
Can I have a motion on the meeting?
With that, I approved the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Thanks, Karen.
Oh, is there any other business from anybody?
Summer schedule, have you figured that out yet?
I posted, well, I emailed, well,
All the
I can
way
email
to
it back.
A while ago.
I emailed it back a while ago. I know that Rich Terry asked me. I will email you the recommended schedule that I gave to you in December. I think.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was. Because I had to reserve the rooms. I believe that we have 2 meetings in June. I was recommending that we split the difference and do the 17th, not the 10th or the 24th of July, and that you also split the difference and do the 21st. But I will email you, I will email everyone tomorrow the schedule that I had presented in December.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like, because I have auto-populated the calendar in my calendar, I can invite everyone to the various meetings so they populate to a calendar if you want. It also has the Google link if you're not, if you can't make it, so.
Can try it. That stuff never works for me. I click on it, you're not authorized, shut up, go away.
9 to 10-year-old kid, he'll straighten you out.
Yeah.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Karen.